Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another Q&A. This one is geared towards admitted freshmen in the College of Engineering. Congratulations on your admission. This is really a time for you to ask questions of the Engineering Student Services Advisors or Marvin Lopez, who's our Director of Student Programs. And so we would like you to start just putting your questions in the Q&A box. And once there are questions in there, if you see a question that you also want to know the answer to, you can click the thumbs up next to the question, and that will move it up in the line. So we'll try to focus on as many questions as we can get to. We may not get to all of them, but we are working on a Q&A, so we're going to copy all of the questions over. And if we don't get a chance to answer all of them, please check our Cal Week 2020 website. I'll put that up at the end. And we will have the questions and answers up on there by the end of this week, hopefully. So I'd like to introduce our panelists. So I'm Sharon Mueller. I'm the Director of Advising and Policy in Engineering Student Services. And actually, I might just have you introduce yourselves. And do you want to start, Marvin?
Sure. Thank you, Sharon. And again, welcome everybody, and thanks for taking the time to join us, and hope we can answer all your questions. And you get to meet us a little bit before you arrive on campus. My name is Marvin Lopez, and I am Director of Student Programs in Engineering Student Services, and I provide support, as we say, co-curricular support, so outside of the classroom, academic, professional, leadership development support for all our students and our student organizations. So, and I get the privilege to work with this amazing team of ESS advisors. So thank you again.
Thanks, Marvin. Cathy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Cathy Barrett. I'm the Assistant Director in Engineering Student Services, and I work with mechanical engineering students, material science, and engineering students, and the joint majors.
Thank you. And Catherine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine. I'm one of the ESS advisors, and I advise civil engineers and mechanical engineers. Congratulations on your admission.
Thanks, Catherine. And Shareena, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Shareena Samson. I work in Engineering Student Services, and I work with bioengineering students and EEC students.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So, I guess we'll start answering questions. So actually, Marvin, I'm going to address this one to you.
I saw that.
So a student is asking, is it recommended to do prep or to go with summer bridge?
So I would say, if given the option of the two, that prep is really in engineering, as we say, for engineers by engineers. And so if the opportunity arises, or you have there's the opportunity to choose between prep or summer bridge, I would certainly recommend prep over summer bridge. Having said that, summer bridge or prep is limited to approximately 60 students. And so once we reach our capacity, then, unfortunately we can't take any more students. So if you're not able to take prep, if you apply and you're not able to secure a slot, then I would say summer bridge is an okay plan B. But prep, I would say prep over summer bridge if given the option.
All right. Thanks, Marvin.
Okay.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what prep is for those students who may not know?
Absolutely. So prep is our pre-engineering program, and it's a residential summer bridge program. Typically, 3 weeks before the semester starts, for, as I said, approximately 60 students to live on campus and get a pre-engineering, a pre-fall experience for being on the campus. So there's 3 tracks to prep. Academic, where students will take a number of classes to get them prepared and get them a glimpse of the summer, of the fall classes, the fall semester. Professional development track and sort of personal development track, where you get to understand and get ready for career exploration and career opportunities, or in research even. And there's a design track where you get to spend time at Jacobs building a prototype to a solution to usually a student-centric problem. And at the end, there's an event where we close out the program by pitching these ideas to industry. So there's 3 tracks over the 3 weeks, in addition to community building activities and such. So it's really to give you a glimpse and a taste of what the summer, the fall, and the spring will be. And so it's an exciting program and a very interesting program. It's one that's grown and evolved over the last several years.
Thanks, Marvin. And sort of a follow-up question. Is prep going to focus on Python, and will it be online this summer?
So I'll address the second question first. And yes, we have decided to move prep online this summer. Almost every other summer program will be online, summer session, summer bridge. We just found out yesterday that Girls in Engineering will be online. So just about every program that we know on summer program will be online. We don't focus on any particular language for the CS portion of Python. So it's really about the concepts and a little bit of the underlying theory and the underlying foundation of CS, not so much a language per se. The language the programming that is done, I believe some of it is in Python, but the focus is not a language. It's really the foundation of the computer science and preparation in particular for the approach that's taken for in CS61A, which is the initial class in the CS series.
All right, thank you. So another question about prep. How will the design portion be done online this year?
That's a great question. I think what we'll focus on, and we're literally just starting to design the elements of the program, but very likely what we'll do is, instead of having well, I guess I should tell you what it currently looks like or usually looks like. So students spend 2 hours every day at the Jacobs Institute, where they spend time working on a prototype, as I said, a physical prototype to a solution, to solve a solution to a problem, using 3D printing, Arduinos, etc. Not being physically in Jacobs, of course, takes that away. So very likely what we'll do is have more of a design competition. So not so much a physical manufacturing or a physical creation, but a design competition where students will design a solution, virtually, and present it virtually. So it'll be a lot of the same concepts, but probably more closely aligned to the Google rapid design approach. So, and something I want to also mention about prep that that you should know, or that a lot of you should know, that there are a number of students for whom prep is a condition of admission. So we've determined, and admissions has determined, that based on a number of criteria, that prep is something that you should do in order to ensure, or at least enhance your success in the fall and the spring. And you would see in your conditions of admissions that you must do prep. So it's a small number of students for whom that condition exists. And if you have that, let us know, and we probably have already been in touch with you. But there is that additional component to prep for some of our admitted students.
And Marvin, will prep help with preparing students for the CS61 series?
To some extent. So the intent of prep in general is really not to prepare directly for any one class. It's really preparing for the overall experience. What drives prep and the programs that we have is really what we call the 4 C's. First and foremost, building community of the students that are part of the prep program. Building collaboration and facilitating and encouraging and teaching how to, collaborating across the prep cohort and the community that they build, with a focus on teaching each other. So not literally just working together, but teaching each other. Imparting the cultural capital to navigate the professional recruiting world, the academic world, research, and ultimately leading to increased confidence to pursue all the amazing opportunities that exist at Berkeley and beyond. So that is really the heart of what we do. Not necessarily prepare specifically for any one class. So, but we do create, we do have, there is some knowledge gained specific to CS61A and let's say Math 1A and such. but is not specifically for a particular class.
All right, thanks, Marvin. I think we'll jump ship for a minute. So Cathy, a student is asking, how do out-of-state community college credits transfer? And will the student have to get the course evaluated? And at what point would the student do that?
Sure. So absolutely, work from a community college can transfer. It's sort of a two-part process. So it will be reviewed by our transfer credit unit to determine unit transferability, but certainly you'll work with your ESS advisor after you've done Golden Bear advising. So Golden Bear advising will happen in June. And as part of completing Golden Bear advising, you'll let us know what you've completed, whether AP exams or IB, or whether you've taken transfer coursework, especially coursework that you want to apply towards your major. And then you and your advisor will work together. The ideal, if you've taken courses, be sure and keep your syllabus, or if you don't have your syllabus, get them for them, because that's what we're going to need to usually send to the departments if you're trying to get a math course evaluated or a chem course or a physics course. We need to send it to those departments here on campus to have it evaluated. And each one has a slightly different process, and your ESS advisor will go through that with you. If you've done something like a GE general education course, that your advisor can probably help you with directly with a syllabus, course description. But for other courses, you'll work with your ESS advisor to facilitate that evaluation process. I would say the official units getting officially kind of posted to your Berkeley record may take until the end of your first semester, but we can sort of assume that the units will transfer. We'll work on that assumption, and we'll start the evaluation process.
Thanks, Cathy. So by the time students register, which is in July, do you think that they would know where they stand with that course by then, if they can get the syllabus early enough in June?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, a lot of the departments work pretty quickly. I know the math department usually does a great online math evaluation, course evaluation process that usually happens pretty quickly. So in general, yes. And certainly some of it, our advisors could look at and perhaps even make like, if your physics course doesn't have the right amount of math in it, we could probably say it's probably not going to work. I mean, we might be able to make a quick judgment, but generally, yes, we can get back responses so you can make hopefully pretty good choice when you're applying for classes in January when you're enrolling.
All right, thank you. Catherine, I'm going to ask you this one. So a student is saying, I want to explore another area of study. What would be the difficulty and possibility of being able to double major?
Sure, so that's actually a great question. It's definitely possible to double major, but you have to kind of plan in advance, right? Incorporate all of those courses in your four-year plan. And so the difficulty with that is that you would be taking a lot of more courses every semester and may not have as many opportunities for extracurriculars like Marvin mentioned. But if you are thinking about doing a double major, you should definitely talk to your ESS advisor so that we can work on your four-year plan together.
All right, thanks, Catherine. And Shareena, a student is asking, can I take a breadth course, for instance, like Reading and Composition Part B, over the summer?
So as a freshman, it would, I think, be unlikely that you would be doing B over this summer in particular, but definitely next summer, if you wanted to do that, you can take it at Berkeley, you can take it at a California community college, or you could take it perhaps at another school where the course has been articulated as equivalent to the Berkeley requirement.
I would just chime in though, if a student does know their AP test scores, some people have taken their AP scores in their junior year. So if they do have a 4 or 5 on the AP, they might be ready for RNCB in this summer. So it might be something they could do at a community college. But I think they'd probably want to check with their ESS advisor as to what course they're taking. But I think it's a possibility.
All right, so Cathy, I'm going to stick with you on this one since we're talking about APs. So will having a lot of AP credits lighten a student's course load?
It can, for sure. I mean, you can definitely check in our guide online of what AP test scores satisfy which requirements, but students who come in with the BC in calculus or AP Chem or a 5 in the physics mechanics, they can definitely choose to bypass those courses. So yeah, a student could get, first semester freshman year curriculum kind of done with AP exams. So that's very possible. Yes, and can help lighten the load or allow them to do things like double major or do a minor or something like that.
Thank you. So Marvin, if a student does not have the condition for admission to attend prep, and a student wants to apply to prep, would you recommend that a student apply to both summer bridge and prep just to keep their options open just in case they don't get into prep?
Yeah, I think that's an advisable practice. Considering the high demand we expect for prep, and again the limited enrollment, even with the online approach, I would say it's a wise approach to apply to both, so that they're covered.
Okay, and do you know the deadline to apply to prep?
There's no deadline. It's a rolling application. So as soon as students SIR or accept their condition, accept their offer of enrollment, of admission, they can apply. And as applications arrive, we'll consider them and start building the cohort. So there's no there's no deadline. So it's rolling admission. So the sooner the better.
Okay, good to know. Catherine, if a freshman were to take a reading and composition B course during the summer at an out-of-state college, would that grade be added to the Berkeley GPA?
Yeah, so it would not be added to the Berkeley GPA. Any classes that you take outside of Berkeley, unless it's at a UC, would not be part of your UC Berkeley GPA. But you would still be able to transfer the credits so that we know that you've completed your RNCB.
Thank you. And we might point out that prep doesn't have any units or grades associated with it. Summer Bridge does. So in Summer Bridge, students do take Berkeley courses during the summer, and just keep in mind that those grades will apply to the Berkeley GPA. So any course you're taking at any UC will be computed into your GPA on your transcript.
And likewise, prep has no cost, whereas Summer Bridge does. So
yes, that's a big bonus.
Yep.
I just wanted to add on, if I could, what Catherine mentioned and your question about out-of-state RNC. Be sure and check with your ESS advisor to make sure you're taking a course that is articulated to meet the reading and composition B requirement. It's a little bit more challenging to do with out-of-state schools. If you're taking a California community college, there's a really easy way to check that out. But if you are planning an out-of-state school, you'll want to check that out. I would say that California community colleges are all online, so there's the possibility of taking an RNCB through a California community college, and that's actually easier to articulate in the sense we already know what courses will and won't work for sure.
And Cathy, if students don't know how to contact their ESS advisor, where should they go?
If they go to engineering.berkeley.edu and look under students, the student tab, and then under advising, and they'll find a list of their ESS advisors. And we do advise by major, and then some of it is broken down alphabetically because there's a big major like EECS and they have 4 different advisors for EECS. So yeah, so we've then divided up by the first letter of your last name.
All right, thank you. And there's a question, and Marvin, if I might be able to answer this one if you want me to, but a student is asking, how do we check to see if prep is part of the conditions of admission? So
yes,
you want me to?
You read my mind, thank you.
Okay, so when you received the email, where you go to your portal to see that you've been admitted, as part of your admissions letter, at the bottom, there's a link to your conditions of admission. So if you click on that link and open that up, you'll see all of the conditions of admission just for you. So if prep is not one of those, then it is not part of your conditions of admission. I hope that answered the question. Okay, Shareena, a student is asking, how soon can I talk to my ESS advisor?
So generally speaking, you can talk to your advisor after you complete Golden Bear advising, which happens in June. After you go through the whole process, which will actually answer probably a bunch of the questions that you have, you will get a recommended schedule. And the recommended schedule comes to your ESS advisor, and then we review it and talk it over with you, and then you would sign up for courses in July.
Thank you. And certainly students, you know, we've been talking about students who might want to take a reading and comp part B out of state. In situations like that where you're thinking about taking a summer course, and we actually do recommend that you reach out to your ESS advisor in those cases before you complete Golden Bear advising, because we certainly want to make sure that you're choosing something that's going to help you in the pursuit of your degree. Okay, so Marvin, can a student apply to prep while deciding to come to Berkeley, or do they need to accept their offer first and then apply to prep?
It's the latter. So once you accept your offer of admission, then you'll receive additional communication where you're allowed or able to apply for the prep program. So.
Okay, so decide on Berkeley first, and then they can apply. Got it. Catherine, are there any classes that you would recommend students taking over the summer at a community college to get started on their credits and to lighten their course load for freshman year?
Yeah, so I would say, like Sharon mentioned, if you're thinking about taking classes over the summer, you may want to contact your ESS advisor, just because it really depends on your situation, what AP classes you took, what math courses you've already taken. So I don't necessarily want to give some examples right now, just in case that it wouldn't actually work for you. But definitely, if you're thinking about taking summer classes at community college, contact your ESS advisor.
Okay, thank you. And Shareena, what if a student wants to, let's say an EEC student wants to get started with Computer Science 61A over the summer? What do you think about that?
So it's completely possible to do 61A over the summer. There are some caveats though. So first of all, taking a technical course at UC Berkeley is different from taking a technical course at a community college. It's going to be different from your high school courses. It's going to be pretty challenging. The other thing about summer courses is that they are accelerated. So that might be a challenge. So if you're willing to take it on, and it might be that that's the only course you're taking in the summer, then it might be a good idea for you. I understand that this summer people might be bored out of their minds and want to take on an additional challenge. It might work for you. The other thing to think about though, with 61A, in the regular school year, it is a partnered project. And in the summer, it's not. So the experience is a little bit different. However, it is the same requirement. It fulfills the same requirement. And so it would be perfectly fine to take it if that's a decision you want to make.
Thank you. And Cathy, do engineering students have time to study abroad?
Engineering students definitely have time to study abroad. So there's lots of options offered through our UC EAP program, our Education Abroad program, that includes both summer options and then semester or full year options. We don't have very many students go for a full year, but many students opt to do a summer or a semester long program. There's lots of good, strong engineering programs that we partner with schools at universities across the world that have strong engineering programs, so students can go and actually get requirements done. Also, we offer students the opportunity to not count that semester abroad as one of the 8 semesters you have to graduate. So it means you could actually extend your stay for an extra semester. Some students go abroad their very last semester as kind of a fun graduation present to themselves. So there's lots of ways to do it. And that's definitely, as you'll hear, it's definitely something you want to talk to your ESS advisor about. But yeah, I definitely have students go certainly within mechanical and get technical electives done. They get requirements done. They have a great experience. So definitely a possibility.
And Cathy, do students have to take courses for their major when they're abroad, or could they just do anything they want?
No, you could actually get some of the sort of our general education or breadth requirements done. So a student could do that. And because it is an extra term, it isn't necessarily part of your 8 or doesn't have to be. You could just, yeah, go to Italy and study food and wine and have a great time. So yeah, so with lots of options to have a study abroad experience. We do think that's a really great experience for our students to have.
Add something to that?
Yeah.
Another thing to consider is summers abroad, and also there's internships abroad. A lot of students don't really think about that. So there's a lot of opportunities to go abroad. That's not necessarily the traditional, the semester going to a different place and studying for your major or not. So just things to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, Catherine, how easy is it for a student to change the major?
So first, I would just want to acknowledge that it's completely understandable that you might want to change your major. You haven't actually taken any engineering courses yet. So with that being said, we do require you, if you're in the College of Engineering, to take 1 semester of Berkeley courses before you can switch to a different major. And because all of the engineering majors have similar courses in the beginning, that'll give you a chance to kind of figure out which major you want to get into. And you can also take some introductory courses into different majors. If you're coming from the College of Letters and Science, then we actually require you to do 2 semesters at Berkeley. And we have more information on our website specifically for different majors, because some majors will have specific GPA or class requirements.
Thank you. Cathy, are freshmen required to do Freshman Edge?
No, absolutely not. So Freshman Edge is a summer program that's open to students, but definitely we also, if you want to take a break, if you feel like you've been working really hard your last 4 years to get to Berkeley and want to take a break this summer, we totally encourage you to do that. So no, it's definitely not required. It's an option if you wanted to have a chance to take your first Berkeley class in the summertime, but certainly not required.
Thank you. And Shareena, when do students start deciding on classes to take for the fall?
So again, I had mentioned Golden Bear advising. So that happens in June. It's an online orientation. I would say it takes about 2 hours or so, give or take. And it actually will give you a pretty good idea of what you will be taking in the fall. And it asks you a series of questions about your preparation, and it kind of spits out a schedule for you, a recommended schedule, which you would talk about with your advisor to determine what exactly you'd be signing up for in the fall. You can always do some preparation for that in advance though. The engineering.berkeley.edu website actually has course requirements by major listed. So that's a great reference if you just want to get started and looking at what your course load will look like over your first year.
Thank you. And I don't know, Marvin, if you want to answer this one, do students get paid for undergraduate research at Berkeley or anywhere nearby?
So generally, yes. When you perform research or when you contribute to a lab on campus, you generally will receive a stipend of some sort. So depending on the formality of the program, if it's the research opportunity is part of a program, there you would get a stipend, often in alignment with the National Science Foundation recommendations. So generally the answer is yes, you would receive some sort of stipend. If you do research outside of campus, at a different campus through an REU, a research experience for undergraduates, then definitely those opportunities are paid, and they're definitely in line with the NSF guidelines. So either way, there's generally a stipend associated with research.
And I might mention that many majors, students can actually get course credit for research as well, and that can actually,
yes,
in a lot of majors, it can fulfill a requirement for the major too. So we do have a lot of students who participate in research.
And I might say that Marvin is thinking, I know about like the undergraduate research, the REUs, which are a sponsored program. I would say there is a lot of research. There's so much research going on in campus, and a lot of the research dollars do go to the grad students. So I think some students will find that labs don't have pay, or at least don't offer pay maybe until the summertime when the grad students are busy. So don't always assume you're going to get paid.
Right.
They do reserve their funding, especially during the school year, for their graduate students, because that's how they fund them to be here. But you are getting a great experience by being in a lab and working with top-notch faculty. So yeah. So it's both, but I wouldn't want everyone to think every lab is going to pay them, because it may not. Yeah,
that's true.
It's still a good experience.
But,
yeah,
but always ask.
and you get
You don't ask, you won't get it. Absolutely. Yes, Cathy.
All right, Catherine. A student is asking, if I test out of calculus with my AP score, is it recommended that I move on to Math 53 or 54, or should I retake Math 1A or 1B?
So I think for this one, it really depends on you and how prepared you feel. And we actually help you out in Golden Bear Advising, the online modules, where we will have some different tests for Math 1A, 1B, just to see how comfortable you feel with the material and whether or not you want to move on to Math 53 or 54.
Thank you. Cathy, is Freshman Edge different from Summer Bridge?
Right, yes. Freshman Edge is open to anyone, so any freshmen are allowed to do it. It does have components. They have some planned activities around it. Summer Bridge is designed, I think, primarily a lot for our first-gen students who, and they have a separate set of courses that they offer that are actually outside the curriculum for regular summer classes. So yeah, they're very different. Some students are mandated for Summer Bridge. They're really encouraged to take it. Freshman Edge is open to everyone.
And Catherine, is it possible for a student to do both Freshman Edge and Prep, or are they only able to do one?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You actually can only do one program, whether it's Freshman Edge, Prep, or Summer Bridge.
And that's because they overlap, right?
Right, the time overlaps.
Okay. And Shareena, as an EEC student, how hard is it to get into the 5th year Master's in Computer Science?
So it is a pretty competitive program. It has a 3.5 GPA minimum at the moment. Who knows if that'll change by the time that students on this webinar will take it. And it has a research component. So to actually get into the program, you have to have a letter from an advisor who is willing to take you on for research. So generally speaking, it's pretty competitive. It's also a very popular program for our EEC students. So a lot of people are applying.
Thank you. And Cathy, do students have time, and Marvin, you can jump in here too. Do students have time to participate with student organizations, or is it something that they kind of phase into as they get into their junior and senior years?
I think generally we'd like to encourage our freshmen not to jump into 5 or 6 different clubs. And I think different than perhaps in high school, I would say in engineering, students tend to be in 1 or 2 clubs that they're really active involved in, and they're taking leadership roles and they're really actively involved in it, rather than having 4 or 5 clubs. They really want to find those 1 or 2 clubs that are super meaningful for them, that are providing them the, in the relationships they want, the activities they want to get involved in. So I would say in general, we'd say, first semester freshman year, don't jump into 5 clubs. Go try them out. Students do attend meetings. They like to see who's in the clubs, but yeah, I mean, definitely we'd encourage people to get involved and not wait till their junior, senior year. I would say you definitely by sophomore year, especially some of the competition teams, because you're really building a skill set that employers want to see. So you are, teamwork, and you're actually building real engineering skills. So, you'd want to start getting involved in your sophomore year, because while you start applying for internships, end of your sophomore year, certainly in your junior year, you want to have those skill sets behind you. I don't know if that's how you would think about it, Marvin, or?
Absolutely, yeah. The main thing is don't think of it as high school where you can join 10 clubs, you know, scattered all over the place in various interests. Pick 2 or 3, and I think Cathy alluded to the value of leveraging involvement in clubs to employment opportunities for internships. And what employers want to see is involvement in 1 or 2 clubs where you show commitment, passion, engagement, growth, impact over time. So, you know, the dedication to one club and less of the hummingbird approach of, you know, different clubs. And certainly try them out, you know, take get us a lay of the land, kind of a survey at the first year, and then get more involved second, third year and beyond. So, but keep them focused. Focused involvement is key.
And Marvin, do you want to talk about the different kinds of clubs that are affiliated with engineering?
Absolutely. So part of what I do and what my team does in partnership with our Engineering Student Council, which is the student body that governs the student organizations, is support the student organizations. So we currently have 80 plus clubs in the College of Engineering alone, plus hundreds more outside of engineering, that address and provide opportunities in everything from philanthropy, from community service, competitions, the professional organizations, so the local chapters of national organizations like IEEE and NSBE and SWE. Consulting groups are becoming very popular, and they all provide different degrees of involvement. They all expect different degrees of commitment, but they're all great avenues for developing and exploring passions for different fields, developing skills that employers want, and connections into employment opportunities and internships and such. So clubs are really a critical piece of the educational landscape and your educational experience. So I highly encourage you to explore them in time. Phase them in a few at a time, but you know, pick a few that you're really committed to and that you enjoy.
All right, thanks, Cathy and Marvin.
You're welcome.
Catherine, how easy is it for a student to get a minor while they're here?
Sure. So a minor is usually something that you're interested in outside of your major, and it's usually 4 to 7 courses. And so depending on how many courses you tested out of, or whether or not you want to take summer classes, it can be both easy and hard, depending on your major.
Thank you. And Shareena, is there a 5th-year master's for every major in the College of Engineering?
Not every single major that we offer has a 5th-year program, but if you are interested in a 5th-year program and maybe you're part of engineering science, you can apply to the other ones as a student, just like you would in the major. So generally speaking, like MECI students would apply to the MECI 5th-year program. EEC students would apply to the EECS 5th-year program. And I'm not 100% sure if MSc has a 5th-year program. Great. Civil?
They do.
The civil? Okay, so I think BioE does not. So it's not every program that has it, but a lot of them do.
All right, thank you. Cathy, how about a double major for students? Is it recommended? And is there a specific double major program for EEC students, or a common double major program for EEC students? Or maybe you even want to talk about what a simultaneous degree is?
Do I? So yes. So is it common for, I think engineering majors do double. I think it's harder for some majors just because some majors have a lot of requirements that are part of getting the degree in that major. So sometimes it's hard to fit in, even though we do for a double major give you a 9th semester, so we do give you an extra semester, it still can be difficult to fit everything in. Some of it also depends on how much work you came in with already, AP, other coursework. We don't necessarily recommend it, but if you're really passionate about 2 different subjects and want to explore them, we can certainly work out a plan with you to see what that'll look like for you. There's certainly also minors in most of the other programs, so a minor is also an option. And then I'd say for EEC students, because their upper division requirements are the least of any of the engineering majors, they do have probably more opportunity to double major or even do a simultaneous degree, which is completing a major in the College of Engineering and a major in a college outside of engineering like letters and science. So EECS majors are working on, you know, whether it's math or econ over in letters and science. So they have a little bit more flexibility than some of the other majors. There are the joint majors, which I do oversee, and that is a place where the two majors saw a place where the two majors really intersect and have a lot in common. So it takes away some of the courses that might also be almost duplicates between the majors, and they kind of mash the two programs together and create this joint major. So you should definitely do some exploring on engineering.berkeley.edu, look at majors. There's definitely options. And so if there's two things though you're super interested in, your ESS advisor is happy to figure out how you can explore those in the best way possible.
Thanks, Cathy. And Marvin, what kind of resources are available for engineering students who are struggling to keep up?
So thanks, Sharon. That's a great question. And there's a number of resources available throughout the college to help students who are falling behind. And something that I would mention is that in order to not fall behind, it is a bit of a circular answer, is that to minimize falling behind is to take advantage of these opportunities that I'll mention, not to fall behind. So, and it exists throughout the college. So something that's really important is being resourceful and reaching out to a number of entities in the college to find out where all these resources are. You know, first and foremost, you know, we are one of the resources, Engineering Student Services. As we like to say, you can't spell success without ESS, because of all the resources we offer to make sure that that you minimize falling behind. Primarily, probably number one resource that we have is tutoring. We have free tutoring. Currently, it's online. Whatever happens in the fall, we'll be offering tutoring, whether it's online or in person, probably a combination, regardless of the case. But we do have free tutoring from 9 to 9, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5 on Fridays, for almost 50 classes now. So all the lower division classes in math, chemistry, physics, computer science, and even into upper division classes now. And it often bleeds into non-technical classes, also biology, economics, depending on the tutor. And these are literally drop-in anytime for free. You simply look at the schedule, you show up and work with your tutor, and hopefully that'll address the concerns and it'll address the questions. The student organizations themselves also offer tutoring, in particular in the EECS world. There are clubs that offer tutoring. IEEE, for example, the CS Mentors offer tutoring. The departments themselves offer other services, tutoring and advising. In ESS, we offer something also called, or at least your advisor could recommend, that you join what we call deep dives, which are classes that are focused specifically on, or additional classes focused specifically on individual classes that'll help you do more of a looking behind and looking ahead kind of modality. So there's a number of resources to help you engage with tutors and with each other. So we have the Center for Access to Engineering Excellence, where you can work with other students, your peers, to study together and teach together. So there's a number of resources, but the key is do not wait until you need them. Leverage them before you do. Be resourceful, be proactive, and all will work out. And then, of course, always work with your ESS advisor and the programs team to understand what else can we provide for you, because we're here for you. Does that?
Yeah, so Marvin, and just because there's another question actually that's asking, how easy is it to find students to study with?
Again, a number of resources and avenues for this. My first thought is the Center for Access to Engineering Excellence. This is the 2 physical spaces in Bexel Engineering Center where students come and study, get tutoring, both often at the same time. And that's a great avenue for connecting with other students who might need somebody to study with, somebody to learn from and to teach others. Your classes will have smaller discussion sections, so even the large lectures will be divided into smaller discussion sections, and through those you'll meet students to study with. But ultimately, it's all about being resourceful and take the initiative to reach out to others and make connections through clubs, through your discussions, through your classes, through the Center for Access to Engineering Excellence, to find those students that you can study with and that you can teach to and learn from. So lots of avenues of ensuring that you have the resources if you're practicing.
Thank you. And Catherine, how hard is it to approach faculty?
Let's see. So faculty, also known as professors, are the people who will teach your lectures. For some freshmen or students in general, it can be pretty intimidating, but actually faculty are just regular people. And so they actually have office hours every week for you to go and talk to them about anything. But if you don't know what to talk to them about, you can certainly talk to them about their research because they love talking about what they're passionate about. But I would definitely recommend that you go and reach out to your faculty when you're on campus.
Yeah, and I've even had students come to me who are scared to faculty, and we'll kind of role play. And, you know, I'll kind of be the student and let them be the faculty, and I'll kind of try to start the conversation just to give them some ideas of how to start that conversation and what sorts of things they could talk about. But like Catherine said, they are regular people and they are really happy to talk to students. That's why they're professors. That's why they're teachers. So we hope that, you know, we can encourage you to go to their office hours and talk to them. So, oh, go ahead, Shareena.
And just in addition to that, another reason why you might want to get to know faculty is because if you ever apply to something that needs a letter of recommendation, it's really important that you build those relationships with those faculty so then you can ask for letters of recommendation in the future. Not just for that, but I think that a lot of juniors and seniors, I talk to them in my office and they say, you know, I never really went to office hours, so I never really built those relationships. And I think that's a regret that they have. So we do encourage you to build those relationships as early as possible so you could feel comfortable asking people what you need to ask them for.
And Marvin, can undergraduates sign up to be tutors in the Center for Access to Engineering Excellence?
Absolutely. Our entire tutoring core is undergraduate students from the College of Engineering and even outside the College of Engineering. So yes, if you're interested, come see us in the fall. If you're ready to teach a class already, we'll more than, you know, hopefully not quite the freshman year or for, you know, fall semester, but certainly as you progress in your career, absolutely come see us, and we'd love to have you as a part of our tutoring team.
Thank you. And Cathy, this is kind of a tricky one.
No.
So is all grading at Berkeley on a curve, and is that a good thing?
Wow. I could say no, absolutely not all grading is on a curve. In the humanities and social science, they tend to do a lot less of that. And it tends to be if you do A work and everyone does A work around you, everybody gets an A. So it's definitely different. In the STEM field, there is more curving, although sometimes it helps because everyone does badly in a test. So that means the curve is low. So everyone's going to benefit from that. It does feel like in the end though, and I've had students say this, the curve really reflects the grade they feel like they got. It's like, yeah, that's probably what I deserve to get in that class. So I would say, is it a good thing? I mean, I don't know if it's always a good thing. You know, I'm more of a humanities social science person, so I would say I don't think it's always a good thing, but I think it is how it is here at Berkeley. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Cathy, I'm going to stick with you.
Okay.
So if I'm an engineering undeclared student, how do I declare and how long do I have to choose my major?
Excellent. So declaring is super easy. It's literally a one-page piece, one paper form that you'll give to Joey, your engineering undeclared advisor, when you're ready. You can do it as early as the end of your first semester, as long as you're in good standing, which means you have a 2.0 GPA. You have really until the end of your sophomore year. We definitely want to encourage you to explore, but it gets harder to explore as you move forward, especially if you're looking at very divergent majors. So I would say, yes, we definitely want to help you figure out what you want, but certainly by the end of the sophomore year, just because at the upper division, the majors become very different. And so you need to know where you're going. At the lower division, lots of commonality to a pretty good extent. But after that, yeah, you've got to have a plan after your sophomore year.
Yeah, and Joey is actually holding an information session very similar to this for engineering undeclared students. And it looks like that's tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So I would encourage students to chat with him tomorrow at 10 o'clock because he'll be able to answer all of your questions, and he will be your ESS advisor when you get here. So it's really helpful to get to know him. That's Joey Wong. He's also an engineering student services advisor. So he advises all of our engineering undeclared students, and he also advises some of the bioengineering students as well. So engineering undeclared students work really closely with Joey until they declare. And then usually they'll be changed to the advisors who declare that major. I mean, who advise that major. But yes, Joey is happy to talk to students tomorrow at 10. So there's a question here, and I don't know how to answer it because I don't think we have anybody from admissions on our webinar today, but a student is asking, and anybody can jump in if you know the answer to this. On our conditions of admission, it says our admissions officer info will appear in June. Is that our ESS advisor? And if so, how do we contact them beforehand? So it's not your ESS advisor. That part I know. You will be assigned an admissions officer in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. I didn't realize that wasn't appearing until June. Does anybody know?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm afraid that I think admissions would be able to answer that question. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody from admissions on our webinar today. So I'm sorry, but I know it's not your ESS advisor. That part I do know.
Alan, if you email ess@berkeley.edu and ask that question, I can definitely forward it to our admissions. We do have some admission liaison people, and they're super helpful. So we'd happy to forward a question to them. I think you could probably ask it in your map too. I would imagine if you go into your portal, your My application. But yeah, it's a little bit. Some of it's a mystery to us. It's behind the scenes that we don't see all of this. Yeah.
I believe that if you do put it in MAP, they do forward the message to us if they can't answer it. So I think they are answering questions from there.
Okay, great. Okay, here's another really tricky one. Unrelated to engineering, how hard is it to find housing near campus after our first year? I mean, housing in Berkeley is challenging for sure.
And I would say that's a great question to send to our peer advisors because they're dealing with housing. They've all had to find housing in their 4 years here. So if you haven't sent a question to our peer advisors, definitely do that there. And is it peer advising at berkeley.edu? I don't.
I will look it up right now. I think it's ESS peer advisors at berkeley.edu.
We see them all the time, so we don't have to email them.
We don't ever email them. We just walk over and talk to them.
But they're super helpful and super smart. So
ESS peer advisors, all one word, at berkeley.edu.
Thank you, Shareena. Yeah, and they're answering emails, and they have, of course, none of us is on campus right now, but they're doing their office hours remotely. And so on our website under students, you can see our peer advisors, and there's a link to their Zoom where they are holding online hours. And you are definitely welcome to talk to them at any point and just hop on and ask them questions. They're here for you.
And I've seen a couple things appear in the chat and disappear because we don't have our chat open. It's so if there is anything you want to ask, feel free, even if it seems super personal or yeah, we're here and we have I guess 5 more minutes. So.
Yeah, I think we've answered so far all of the questions that have come in the Q&A. I think that's a record.
Yeah, which is better than we did on Saturday.
Yeah. On Saturday, I think we left about 111 questions unanswered.
So thanks to those who came today.
Yeah, thank you. We knew this one would be a little smaller because we kind of added it at the last minute, and it was not on the main Cal Week page. It was just on the Engineering Cal Week page. So we were expecting we would have a smaller participation, but it's kind of nice because then we got to answer everybody's question.
Yeah, thank you for all the questions.
So Laura, do you want to put up the websites that we could refer students to? Laura's back here on the, there we go. So here are some websites that you might find helpful, or if you have more questions, you might think of something after this. So if you do have more questions, please feel free to email us. And that email is ess@berkeley.edu. And we've plugged our website quite a bit, but please do visit our website, engineering.berkeley.edu. Under students, you will see the undergraduate guide. And in the undergraduate guide are sample four-year plans for every major. So that's what Shareena was talking about, that you could look at and kind of gauge what classes you might end up taking in the fall. And then we have a new video about discovery in Berkeley engineering, where Laura, who is our Associate Director of Marketing and Communications, has interviewed several students about different opportunities they've taken advantage of in engineering. And so that video is now uploaded at engineering.berkeley.edu/CalWeek2020. And that's also where you can see how to connect with Joey, who's the undeclared advisor tomorrow. And we are recording these sessions. And so all of the sessions that we're recording are on our Cal Week playlist. And we've got a shortened URL for that. So that is short URL @@/ZGJKX. And that will put you on the YouTube site where we have all of these recordings. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to thank our panelists too, who have been here helping answer all the questions. And if we didn't get a chance to answer your question, please do email ess@berkeley.edu. We are answering all questions that are coming into you. Also, those 111 or so questions we didn't get to on Saturday, Cathy has diligently been working on answering those, and we're going to post those questions and answers on our Cal Week 2020 website by the end of this week. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Go Bears.
Bye.